Well, hello, everybody. How are you doing today? I hope that this day finds you doing very well, as it has found me doing the same. I want to say thank you very much for tuning in to me again today. I really appreciate it. And I would definitely like to welcome all of you to another episode of TJ's Topics. And I do want you to know that I am TJ, and I tell you, it is such a pleasure to be with you once again. I consider it a joy, an honor, and a privilege to be able to come into your presence on any given occasion. Now, today, I would like to ask all of you a question, if I may. This is something that I've been thinking about for, I guess, a couple of days now. It's in regards to this story that I saw on the news, um, where this 106-year-old woman went to Disney World for the very first time. 106 years old. Man, you talking about a long life. That's a long time to be dwelling on this crazy planet. But it's a blessing. It is. And everybody is not afforded that opportunity to be here that long. But while that's good, to live that long, you have to wonder sometimes, what life would be like for any of us if we stayed around here for that length of time. I mean, it's such a long time. And, you know, we all know that time brings about a change. And things do change about us as we age, health wise and our mobility and stuff like that. And by the way, she was in a wheelchair. She wasn't up walking around. This 106-year-old lady, she was wheeled around in her chair. But she seemed to enjoy herself, and they wished her a happy birthday. They gave her a birthday party and everything. And some of you may have actually saw it on the news too in your area. Well, I want to ask you a question, and that's actually my topic for today. My topic and the question is, can a person actually live too long? That's what I want to ask you. Can a person actually live too long? Now, as I said earlier, it is a blessing, and it's a tremendous privilege for us to not just live for another year or another decade or so, but just to live for another day, period. I mean, anytime you're able to wake up in the morning, get up out the bed and put one foot before the other, have the right frame of mind and the activity of your limbs. Anytime you're able to do for yourself, you're able to go places and mingle with folks and take care of your business. You're able to go to work, pay your bills, buy groceries, put gas in your car, and have a little money left to go shopping and different things. I mean, that's something to be grateful for. And everyone should be grateful to have that privilege. However, there are those out here who don't have such privileges. They're homebound and some of them are in the hospital or they're in a nursing home. And they're not able to get out and enjoy the things that we enjoy. They're not able to partake of the things that we partake of. And so our heart goes out to them. and we empathize with them. And there have been many cases where such people, such individuals, they they come to a point where they just simply do not want to be here anymore. And they feel like they would be much better off if they escaped all of this and, you know, went on and crossed over to the other side. A lot of people feel that way. And that is oftentimes the driving force behind a number of suicides, which is so unfortunate. There are many people who have lived and took their own lives simply because of the way things were in their lives. Lack of money and lack of food and um, sickness and disease and no family and friends who truly loved and cared for them. And they felt like the world was just dishing out nothing but bad luck and misfortune and unhappiness and disappointment, misery and suffering, struggle. And therefore they took it upon themselves to go ahead and get away from all of that. They felt like it was in their best interest. They just didn't see any true purpose for being here in this world. I mean, why would anybody want to be here if they're not experiencing something that's good? I mean, if they don't have any relatives or friends or neighbors who are, in their corner, they don't have fulfilling jobs or careers, they're not experiencing any form of good luck or good fortune, prosperity, good health, and vitality. And so those individuals, they begin to feel like, I just don't feel like I want to stay here anymore. I think it would be better off if I just ended it and went on over there. And a lot of times that's what they do, to the disappointment and the sadness of the ones that they leave behind. A lot of hurt people. But I want you to think about something for just a moment. You think about a lot of these people who have been around here for a long time, some a little longer than others, but yet they've been here and they're experiencing nothing but gloominess and such a melancholy way of life. And they never have any good fortune, never experience any form of joy and gladness. Is always something keeping them down, and it seems like the lower they are, the lower they go. Like the saying goes, you never want to kick a man while he's down, but sometimes folk do. And they'll catch you when you're down, and then they'll put their foot on you and keep you down. But life can be something at times. And so a lot of times people feel like they just don't want to be in the midst of all that. And it would be better for them if they just went on and left it. Well, that's what I want to ask you. If you say that you were in a position, like some of those people, and all you ever experienced was sickness and disease and, a lot of misfortune, bad luck, bunch of trouble on every hand, and so many other things going on in your life. And you came to the point where you just you've had enough. Would you want to stick around for all of that and just keep on going through that same old mess? Or would you perhaps consider something else. And suicide is something that is so tragic. I mean, it's devastating to see take place, and think of all the families who have lost loved ones or friends, classmates, who've seen tragedies like that happen. And you wonder sometimes if they could have been prevented. Sometimes they can be, and sometimes they can't, but I guess what I'm trying to say is, or perhaps ask, and for those of you who understand where I'm coming from, all of us have our own individual timetables. And we all came to this earth for a purpose. And we all came to this earth for a season. We came for a reason and a season. And it's up to us to discover the reason why we're here. And it's up to us to try to fulfill our season for being here. Do the best we can during that season. But what if our season ran a little longer than we anticipated? And as a result of that, things started going awry. Like, for example, Congress is always talking about Social Security running out. They're saying by the year 2033 or 2034, somewhere along in there, that Social Security will go bankrupt. Now, mind you, we have a lot of Americans out here who actually depend on Social Security to keep a roof over their head, food on the table, and keep the bills paid. Well, if Social Security somehow came to an abrupt end, what would happen to those individuals? And if that's all they had? And think about how hard it is to get medication sometimes for those who have to take medicine. And they were no longer able to get their medicine because Medicare ceased to exist. Do you think those people want to stick around here and endure such hardship? I mean, that's something to think about. Or would they rather figure out a way to just, get out of it once and for all? Now, me, I'm not an advocate for taking one's life. And I certainly don't think it's a good thing to try to leave this world before it's time. But what if a person ended up staying here too long? and then the burden of dealing with some of the things that I just mentioned, or something else altogether, began to arise and caused life as we once knew it to no longer be pleasant. I mean, that's just something to throw. I just want to throw that out there. I mean, you may not can answer it right away. Just think about it. Just think. And I'm going to give you an example before I go. Back in 2008, when my grandmother was getting ready to make her transition, she said something to me one day when we was on the couch. It was in the springtime, I believe, around about this time of the year, and I was down there at the house, and we were talking about something, and then she went on to say, "Well, I'm still here, in the way." That's what she said. And me not really comprehending what she was saying, I just said, "Yeah." As if I was agreeing with her. But I wasn't really agreeing with her because I didn't know what she said. Because Though my body was there with her in the living room, my mind was somewhere out in the street. Because I mean, I had a lot of things going on. I was unemployed. I had just gotten fired from my job. So I was in between jobs at the time. And as a 20, I was 28 years old then too. So as a 28-year-old, I wasn't really focusing on much. At least not like I should have been. And so it didn't dawn on me what she said until I got home that evening. And then that's when it hit me. Oh man, you know what? My grandmama was saying that she's beginning to feel like she's in the way, as if she's a hindrance or a stumbling block. And sometimes that's the way older people feel, when they have lived such a long life, like up in their 80s and 90s and stuff. They begin to feel as if they are more of a hindrance to their families than a help. And they begin to view themselves as a stumbling block, and sometimes, which is sad to say, but relatives, family members can begin to view those ailing individuals in their family as someone who's holding up progress. That's the way they see it. Those loved ones are holding up progress, staying around here. And they begin to pray these off the wall prayers. On one hand, they want to believe God for their loved ones' healing. But on the other hand, they're praying a different prayer, asking God to let his will be done. Now, I'm going to tell you something for those of you who don't know this. I discovered this years ago. When people begin to pray for you, asking God to let his will be done, if you're going through an illness or something, 9 times out of 10, that prayer is indirectly praying for God to move on their behalf. And by that, I mean move on behalf of the family and go ahead and remove that sick individual. Go ahead and get them out the way so that they, the family, can go on with their lives. Because that ailing family member is, in a sense, holding up progress because they already know that they're not going to get well. The family has accepted the fact that that person is not going to get well. They're not going to recover from their illness. And so they're steady going in and out the hospital. They're on all this medicine, bedridden, perhaps, in a wheelchair or what have you. And somebody's got to wait on them hand and foot, prepare their food, do their laundry, bathe them, clean up the house and take care of their business and all that. And while it may be all right being a caregiver at the beginning, the longer someone has to do those things, the more tiresome it becomes. And it really becomes a heavy burden trying to be a caregiver to somebody. And that's not your job because you're not a doctor, you're not a nurse or anything like that, a medical assistant. And you're not in that profession. And yet you find yourself having to do the things that doctors and nurses and medical assistants are doing, and yet you're not getting paid for it, see. And sometimes people have to quit their jobs in order to stay at home and see after these sick loved ones. And so that's the reason why I wanted to pose this question today, asking you that, and just to get your thoughts, can a person actually live too long and holding up progress in people's lives? What do you think about that? And if you've experienced this in the past, with your family members or somebody, then you can tell me about it. And And I want you to feel free to share this with someone if you wish, and they may can relate to this as well. So, in conclusion, I would like to say thank you very much for tuning in to another episode of TJ's Topics. I really do appreciate it. And invite someone to tune in and watch on the next go round. And I look forward to seeing you then, okay? This is Taron Jerome Harris, reminding you that every round goes higher and higher. And I look forward to seeing you on the next go round. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.